Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent and the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. A'udhu billah shaitan ar-Rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one. Rabbi Firli, my Lord, forgive me for my sins, those that I am conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. May God guide me to the direct path. Hello, everyone. I start off my lecture by acknowledging the higher power. The higher power is not anything in the world, it's that which is beyond it, nothing in the world, character, form, shape, whatever, can equal. Nothing in the system can equal the system administrator. And I'm a human being, I'm Muslim, but what that means is that I believe that we're in an existential system and that there's a system admin. And man's position is to have a relationship with the system admin, in the sense that man is seeking for higher intelligent interaction levels. It's important to acknowledge that we are not the highest thing in the room, because we're not. The presence of our world is beyond us. What really the human being is physically, externally at least, it's a biological information processor. And it's working in accordance to patterns and lots of how do I say it, it's like you could look at a tree and then go sleep and come back the next day and look at the tree, and the tree might have changed, but the value of what the tree means hasn't. And really what we're looking at here in for the human experience is a being, like what the human is having an ability to access external existence, which means to notice a world separate than you. That's what it means to be in a world. Before I get to the title, it's important that you acknowledge that you're speaking to a human being, that just like a person can look at an ant and feel like a higher being, I'm acknowledging there's higher beings here in this world. There's moderators, but then there is only one system admin as a point outside of the system. So I'm treating all of us as beings inside a simulation, which means we're inside a box. And what is outside of the box is important. Now, what that means for the human being is to have a relationship with that which cannot be limited to human value, which is another way of saying man doesn't meet the higher power meets man, calls upon man. What I mean by this is that you cannot force people to acknowledge a higher power, but they have to look at this world and come to the conclusion that what we're working here is ultimately giving a perspective. Like, to be honest, before we can solve the problems of humanity, we have to kind of consider is how the human being valued a problem. And it is. The definition that human beings have of what it means to be human in 2025 is one of loud corners. And what I mean by this, it's a figure of expression that beings from different corners are all shouting, trying to be loudest. Anyways, it's important to acknowledge the higher power. And how you do it is by accepting the how you are the lower power, by understanding it. So the hour has come for me to truly, enter this lecture. I want to thank God, the system admin, La ilaha illallah, for the opportunity to exist and be able to perform in such a way as an intelligence in space. Like, I could be depressed or happy, but existence is cool either way. It's fascinating to be here at all. It's fascinating to, in some sense, watch the geometry that is giving you the illusion of the world shift. And so, for me, I am thankful of the original power, and I am thankful of the simulated realm. That means I speak not just to man, but I speak to a world that is present. And I acknowledge that there is a spectrum and there is a hierarchy. That means from one angle, we just zoom in on human beings. We zoom out and we begin to see the human being is just a technology. And what we're going to see happen most likely in the future is an constant emergence of an ability to see outside of one's definitions and oneself. See, we're living in 2025. We have the opportunity to be like the couple generations before us, and everybody kind of like just lays low and relaxes, and they're like, okay, whatever, let me just, chill out my whole life, right? But then there's another sense where you suddenly wake up one morning as if you have realized something that you're shocked you hadn't so far. And it is the sense that, sure, the physical bodies of all the human beings in history that have ever lived on planet Earth, sure, they're physically gone, right? And the remnants of their existence is in our history books, right? Like, suddenly that fascinated me. But for a second, I was like, what if their idea self is not? What if, in some sense, the vision of man surpasses the condition of man? So, how do I say it? I pretty much one day began feeling as if all the people in the past are watching me right now. All the people alive right now are watching me right now. And all the future generations, human beings that will ever be born in the future, are all staring at me right now. And for somebody who was a shy kid when he was young, you know, the unconscious reaction is to, in some sense, go into a shell, but the conscious response is to, in some sense, how do I say it? That means you're telling me that I find myself on a stage where the creator of the stage is watching, my species is watching, my future children, great grandchildren, just, the future of humanity is watching. Maybe super intelligent computers may be watching. Maybe, in some sense, advanced beings beyond our perception are watching. And what if maybe somehow squirrels and animals? There was a time where I thought, there was a cat that was listening to me give a lecture. It was weird, you know. So hear me out. Where I'm going with this is to, in some sense, point to those who normal life has become, in some sense, boring. This, I don't mean the excitement to survive. I don't mean that. I mean, I'm speaking to those human beings that have reached a level of emotional maturity where they have kind of stepped out of the self-obsessed, uh, how do I say it? Imagine like you're in an Iron Man suit right now. This Iron Man suit is obsessed to complete a to-do list. And do you understand what I mean? It's like the Iron Man suit has bills to pay, has everything to do, has to worry about the future and da 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 da. Da. And for a moment you step out of the Iron Man suit and you begin wondering, it seems that the soul cannot be defined, but in the absence of reality, that which goes forth seems to be it. If the world was watching you and the creator of it as well, in some sense, it's a matter of who is one speaking to. Okay, that means like like this is the cool thing about, they don't tell people about who are shy about like speaking, that the cool thing about speech is you can start in any sector of a human context. Do you understand? There's so many different things to choose from. Okay, there's too many categories of what reality is and the patterns it moves, and really on some level what children are learning at schools is just enough of a geometrical, like we acknowledge simulation. You know, I thought the purpose of school was to educate, to teach, but I realized no. The purpose of school is to, in some sense, be a sort of backup system to culture by making many kids experience the same things. You understand? The task to actually understand reality even surpasses the accumulation of knowledge. It's like, imagine somebody, they're like, somebody's like, hey man, check out this room. And you look at that room and it's like a vast, giant library. And you're like, no, man, have you read all these books? And the person is like, no, man, I can't even read. And it's like, what? You've accumulated so much knowledge, yet you have not understood the knowledge. And the most important knowledge to understand is what is actually going on here as a being. See, the question is asked. If I ask your personality, I'll be like, okay, you're going to counterattack with your story, you know? But if I say, yo, buddy, just for a second, just case study, hypothetical visualizing ability, just let's look at the human position. Just a human, random human was born. Okay, then our inquiry goes further as if we all have an aerial view of this case, and we're like, okay, this human being has entered this world, what happens after? Okay, and this is where it gets interesting, because there's three answers: past, present, future. Imagine a human being that only cares for the past. It means they don't need to do anything in the present. Somebody in the chat section says nothing lasts, but nothing is lost. Yes, but for you, that's not true. It's only from the creator's perspective, everything is logged. Anyways, it's showing zero viewers, and I'm like replying to a chat message. Just incredible podcasting by me. Oh my God, I'm just, getting to that point where I'm like, my species, for the love of God, like literally. All right, it's fine, in this moment, I'm, you know what it is? I think I just have to accept that everything is hidden grace. I, as a human being, when I looked at it and I was like, okay, what's like going on here? And it's a matter of like, so you have consciousness emerge. I'm one of those children who has a memory of myself before I learned language, and I was just like a moment of sight. Like if a lantern in a dark room was like consciousness. It was as if like I remembered my awareness of the whole room, right? I remember my body like being a kid. Like how do I say it? I think I was like a baby on like this kind of bed table. I don't know how to explain. And I remember before I learned language, and before I learned language, it was as if I was an anticipating viewer. I don't know how to say it. It's kind of weird. I think human beings are accessing time maybe as an in an earlier prototype fashion. I think we don't understand time, and perhaps even having the concept of time could in some sense be a strange, you know, approach. But I'm not saying things don't change and reality doesn't move forward. It does. But anyways, you guys might be shocked by, but I still haven't talked about the title. What is this view on my life I want to share, and why have I said climbing, I think, the great tree of eternity? I think I called it that. Let me double check. Yeah, the climbing the great tree of eternity. Let me explain what I mean. This is something, a view on my life, which means it's personal. I don't know how well it'll translate for you, but I'm just going to share it. I want to share with the viewers something that maybe you haven't had the time for, but I, for some reason, have had. And let me tell you what podcasting like daily for years is like, okay? Or what kind of pretty much like the significance of our efforts throughout the day. See, I kind of looked at my life and I was like, okay, imagine I'm climbing a tree. This tree that the top of it I can never see. It's just like I can never see the top, but I have to eternally climb this tree from branch to branch, from branch to branch, right? And there is the possibility of at any moment one of the branches to break and for me to fall down. Do you understand? That means any moment I can log out of existence, not just disconnect, but just log out completely. Okay, just like any of us. We don't know how long we're here, but it's just this idea that the branch can break and I can't climb the tree of eternity anymore. Okay, and the tree of eternity for me, it's a metaphor for the great journey that this life force is going through. Okay, so technically we're all kind of climbing the tree of eternity as long as we can, and then at some point it just breaks off. Okay, or we get too tired to climb or whatever. But for me, like every day waking up, noticing something, like to me, I'm my these whole lectures are kind of fueled by me waking up every day. I'm like something feels off about this world. Let me zoom into it. Climbing the great tree of eternity is the effort of conscious continuity. And conscious continuity is side by side by intelligent continuity. We human beings have to be intelligent. We have to be intelligent to acknowledge that we're conscious. To notice you're conscious is an intelligent act. To have scholars kind of debate about it is even a more intelligent act. But ultimately, if I ask you, what do you value? Imagine you said I asked you, what do you value? And you're like, I value my body, man. I'm just this body. And I'm like, what if we transferred your consciousness to a cyber server in the future? And in that cyber server, you could have manifest any body instantly. So is it the experience of the body that you think you are? or is it to kind, like, do you understand, is it what it, where is the, what is the exact value of it, and how is it in some sense, like, without consciousness, what world? Do you understand? So the value of life is honestly this is the highest value. That means, like, people pay the highest bills, you know, medical bills, to try to stay as long as they can conscious in this world, correct? So consciousness is the highest value. That means everybody would pay everything, give every physical thing they have to continue to be conscious. Okay? Because consciousness is kind of like changing servers if you're unconscious. Anyways, to climb the great tree of eternity is the effort of a human and humanity to, in some sense, keep going forth and to see if we can keep the 99.9 percent of species alive idea real. Even though, you know, astrophysicists tell us there's going to be like a heat death to the universe. But that stuff aside, we're looking at the current human being in 2025. We're looking at what has happened so far on Earth, and then we're looking at what else can happen on Earth. And when you have this sort of thinking, you begin to see that what can happen on Earth is new behaviors of a collectivity. So it's kind of like bizarre, but when it comes to ants and when it comes to bees, right? Like their ability to manage in the beehive and all of this, right, seems way more elegant than how humanity has done it. And humanity is actually believing it's physical, but subjectively creating everything, considering everything. You know, they were like, yo, man, the world is a strange place. No, the concept of strange is strange. You know, just the looking at reality and wondering about what is the edge of the relationship with, you know, intelligence here. That means, is it just humans dealing with humans? Is it all humans dealing with a higher power? Is it, you know, that the human being has a specific design? By looking at the design of the human being, we kind of get a sense of like what it's made for. And what we have been made for is intelligent communication. And the most advanced form of communication is, in some sense, sort of praise. Because usually a conversation is done on equal grounds, but praise is when one is superior to the other. So the nature of reality is how far do you, how much do you have an ability to notice that which is lesser than you and that which is higher than you. Guys, I need a quick break. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for waiting. Anyways, this episode is, I don't know. I'm just relaxing a bit more talking about it. I pretty much looked at my life. I saw this task of constantly giving lectures, and I thought, like, at least if I die tomorrow, for example, or any moment, or whenever the system had been destined, all right, it's like when I leave, at least I have put something out there of me that can continue. And so this is what I find that really man is kind of being something in the moment, and throughout the day he can express what he's being, and then one day he will not be able to express it any longer. So every person, like a lot of our species is not conscious of it. They're kind of living under the rock of what life only means to them. But how does the future stand? How does the future feel? How do the future generations look at the world? What does it mean to be a human for those born in the future? How will they remember us? And how will all human beings and the species, you see, it's kind of like not only human beings return to God as a Muslim, but so does the world. You see, the day the world returns to God is the end of days. And so it means, I don't know, perhaps if the world dies, the world had a soul as well. It's the effort of consciousness, like a flickering flame in the wind. Our species is something, and human beings are storytelling. So, what do you do when you're a biological organism living alongside many other biological organisms, however similar to like tribal times, just like how different tribes would put different paint on their color paint on their face. It's like we wear suits and we're like, yo, man, where are you from? I'm from that country, that country. It's the same thing. The paint has just become, you know, a word on our passports. But in reality, what we are is one human species. You see, we cannot ignore how we look like each other. We may not look exactly like each other, but our design and layout pretty much does. That means that, like every people on Earth has have been fighting over like the color of skin, right? But behind, like underneath the skin, everybody's blood is red. Like, what's the big deal? Like, we're probably more red than there's maybe the more of color red than whatever is outside of our skin. Like, it's like the biological system is bizarre. You know what I mean? It's bizarre. I think if I in the future I get a wife who's like a doctor, like a famous doctor, I'll be like, I'll never be. but it's not that different. Doctors wonder about what is within the body, and advanced communicators wonder about the most advanced potential within existence. It's kind of like, you see people like, show off their technology. It's like, yo, man, that's a cool phone. Yo, man, that's a cool that computer or whatever, right? But you don't see human beings truly wondering about what is the most advanced technology and what is the purpose of that technology. And isn't the most advanced thing that can happen is the decision making of outcome? So it's kind of like strange where in one way, yes, it is. We are inside a simulated testing zone, inside a divine surveillance state, masqueraded as a natural surveillance state. Sorry, I shouldn't say masquerade, kind of present. And so, what does it mean to truly advance as a human being? Yeah, let me take it there. Whoever you are listening, I'm asking you, what does it mean? What is the most advanced? When I say, like, think of the most advanced human, what image comes to your mind? Like, aside from prophets, what is the most advanced human? Or even, let's take prophets. The prophets, peace be upon them all. To me, advancement is based on speed, and the faster the advancement it gets, the less visible it's required to be. So imagine the advancement of civilization is like a gas pedal, it's like the gas meter on the car. And when you put your foot on the gas, it's like going at a certain speed, and the speed that like a civilization is advancing in 2025, it's kind of the speed. The mind has started to slightly become faster than the body to the degree that human beings, they can just grab their phone, be stationary for a moment, process information, process information for like 10 minutes, and then suddenly snap out of it and continue on their day. You know? So the mind is moving faster than the body. If the speed of, if intelligence becomes faster, like, how do I say it? If the mind moves faster than the body, it's like saying we don't need our bodies anymore because the informational processing of our intelligence is faster. But that's very far in the future. I'm talking about like 100 plus years in the future. And yeah, it has felt like climbing a tree every day, waking up on this planet. Yes, it's an effort. You have to direct it, be conscious of it, measure it, calculate it, look at it until you understand it. Like that's look at it from different angles until you understand it. To a point where after you've looked at something through so many angles, you're like, okay, now what? Which angle wins? I think man, like the human being, intentionally is designed here on Earth to realize it needs an additional, it needs the original power. That means the only key for the ascension of man is the mercy of God. That means in Islam, you're not being advised to worship any moderator, which is a being that has control over the simulation. For example, according to in Islam, Shaitan has control, like in tempting man, right? Shaitan, the devil, is that can be seen as a moderator. Shaitan has moderator privileges. But the test is that this is what the Prophet, peace be upon him, did, was in some sense to cut the veil. You don't understand. It was as if like I don't know, I can't even say I understand, but to me it's so fascinating to be born in an era where there's magic, there's massive idolatry, like worshiping idols and all this, and you looking at every person there and saying, forget the objects of reality. There is a higher power that nothing in this world can be a partner to. It means the original power knows what will happen to the simulation. So why are the souls in the simulation? To notice the simulation. There's the higher power to notice it's here. It's like you're noticing I'm here, right, by hearing my voice and me communicating to you. Now, a higher power that is not limited to worldly form is not going to be a person communicating to you, okay? But the question is, how does a simulated being, which is classed as the lower power, interact with the original being, which is the higher power? This is where, if we ever wondered why was there a soul, what was the point of the soul? It's this: your soul is your original relationship by being created. I'm not talking about your body. I'm talking about your soul. Your soul was created by the original. Do you understand what that means? That means imagine before human beings that were ever in the picture, there's this world where there is this ultimate, exalted, the ultimate original being, the Lord of worlds, right? And this Lord of worlds, everything is under its control, and this Lord of worlds decides to create something, decides to create man, and with a single command, by just saying be, as if like somebody just instantly remembering a memory or imagining. And so the highest position in being created us. It's like there's no greater VIP access for the soul. It's as if, who do you know? I'm not talking about your ego. Your soul will be like that. We created. You see, the fact that there is even the possibility to get deceived by anything when you're created by the original. You understand what that means? That means we are like the highest like the soul is the highest quality resolution of being. And our ego is like the freaking most lowest quality suffering as a character and a story you can't control situation. As someone who wanted to advance civilization, not wanted, like, it's just like one of the main things. If to me, they're like, yo, why are you still here on Earth? And, like, if you had a choice to leave, like, what would be the reasons you're staying on Earth? And I'd be like, yo, I want to still see what my most advanced self looks like. I still want to see what the most advanced species, like expression of the species, would look like. Even the attempt of it would render a new version of it, which is incredible still. And then I want to see the most advanced world. That one is strangely, the inclination for that is lesser than the other ones. And above all, it's just what I have accepted by instantaneously knowing deep down that I had this experience. That there is an owner. I shouldn't say owner, I should say there is an admin to the world. It's remarkable. It is more fascinating than aliens landing on Earth. It's more fascinating than super intelligent computers. It's more fascinating than any other character, fictional fantasy character we can think of. It is just that world, you are systemized. It's as if, like, think of it this way. I'm conscious of, like, this moment, what's around me. The system admin is conscious of all worlds at once, never getting tired, never sleeping, not having any human limitation. You see, what's more fascinating than any sort of, like, spiritual entity behind some veil or shape or character is the pure original power. It's the rawness of being. It is the recognition that man is not the highest point of, like, the most advanced thing on earth, but it is in the presence of the most advanced that can be something that is never a thing. So do you know what it means? It's kind of like you're not God, but you're in the attention of God. Now, God is not a character for you to speak to. Do you understand? But God is an excuse me, God is beyond our understanding. It's beyond the box work. So we can never truly, how do I say it? It's God's mercy. The higher power chooses. The higher power can choose, to make someone the most, bring the attention of the whole world to someone, and then, the higher power can choose to, keep keep the attention of the world away from someone. That means, to me, it's like the world changed one day. There was no longer karma. There was no longer lucky, unlucky. There was no longer, it was all just, it's the system advanced, the system administration, and the system, my relationship with the world is based truly on my relationship with the system admin. My relationship with the system admin is pretty much the answer to what is the most advanced point that we can communicate to. That means more advanced than any human. Do you understand that prayer is actually the directing the attention of an organism to outside of the box that it's in some sense in a sort of, survival of the fittest, kind of, in the savageness of reality, to acknowledge the grace of the opportunity to notice a higher power. That means you are blessed, not just because of your position in existence. You are blessed to be a member of the human species that has a capability to establish a relationship with that, with to notice advancement, and to notice. To, we have the best shot at communicating to an advanced being compared to any other species on this planet because we have language. We have communication. I don't see freaking dolphins, you know, writing poetry, on like seafloors. Like if dolphins truly understood humans, all they had to do was like go on the sand of a seafloor when the diver was there and just like write one word or something. And humanity would freak out. So, as a simulated being in the presence of the original power, breathing and being alive through a sort of this moment's format, attempting to truly care for the future and to see honestly like what's their best shot. That means if we're done honoring the past, if we're done honoring the present, the only thing left to honor is the future. The great future is the return to the system admin. The short future is all the future generations that if we go as far as we can, they can even go further. It's about the greatness of the human vision. When I'm alive and giving these talks, like you don't understand right now, I don't feel like my peers are just everybody who's alive in 2025. I feel history. I feel all the scholars, anybody who suddenly noticed civilization and cared for its advancement. There's a great honor in being a human being, but your conduct matters. And how you behave as a human being is very important, and how you behave as a human being is based on the values you acknowledge, and the values you acknowledge is in some sense what realities your consciousness has accepted. Thank you for listening. I am climbing the tree of eternity, the great tree of eternity. Our species is climbing the great tree of eternity. Everything that is conscious and goes forth with the faith that the highest power is watching. And so, like, what is the most advanced state other than a state where, in some sense, the higher power, the world, your species, they are all smiling for your performance was worthy as a being. That means imagine from the moment you have been born up to now, you've been like a pen, and this pen has been, in some sense, writing. And it's been writing, and every time you've made a mistake, your handwriting was terrible. Every time you've done something great, like the handwriting was nice. But at the end of it, you're going to look back at what you wrote and be like, what did I write? And what did you write really? If you want to, the true answer is you have to activate your heart, which means you have to free your emotions from your thoughts, and you have to also free yourself from your own emotions and thoughts. And then you will be in a simplicity of a moment that is similar to a moment where, as if somebody has dropped pride, dropped the past, and has dropped persona. What you're left with is the simplicity of your honest viewing self from the beginning, even before you were born. See, the human being is pure at its core. You were designed by the purest creator, by a might beyond the fathom. Everything in existence bowed to man, and the only thing that didn't bow to man had a personal issue. So man's task is to just listen to the system admin, and in some sense, the game between the mod and the system admin is that resolves on its own. To me, I think it's incredible to activate the great spirit that it is no longer for God and country, but it is for God and earth, God and humanity, God and advanced civilization. For God and you, the greatest, the most advanced human civilization, we, in some sense, in honor of the original power and the most advanced state of civilization, which is another way of saying what is the most, how close can an advanced civilization get to God? La ilaha illallah. So thank you for listening. Bismillah, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Khfirli, my Lord, forgive me. My Lord, forgive me and species for all the sins that we have made, conscious and unconscious. Auzubillah, Shaitan Rajim. May God protect us from the curse of Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. May the most advanced bless man towards the most advanced expression. That means we are not returning to the system admin as if we were oblivious fools, but rather those who understood the value of their world in the sense that it is like, see, when it comes to humans, there's emotions, but when it comes to objects, there isn't. And sometimes when it comes to certain subjects, there isn't. That's why if you ask someone what is God, they will tell you God is love, right? But when you say God is love to, like, an analytical, I don't know, atheistic philosopher or something, they'll pretty much be like, what do you mean God is love, right? But it's the interaction. That means, like, I don't think scientists are just like talking to each other like kind of robots. You know what I'm saying? It's like the human dimension means, okay, we are not perfect, but we can be together better than before. That means the most advanced self is a relationship with the most advanced state of being, which is God. The most advanced species is a relationship of a species with the most advanced state of being, which is God. The most advanced world is the relationship of everything in the world with the most advanced state, which is God. So ultimately, whether you are a self, you are a species, or you are the massiveness and vastness of a world, all are in the presence of the one and only system, God, which is beyond shape, which is beyond anything that can, in some sense, convince you that it can come and replace your truth. The truth that you seek is beyond this world. And that's when you start becoming advanced. You start getting the sense of, okay, how many boxes are over my head? Anyways, thank you for listening.